warm welcome to Great Principles. I am Seema Choria. Great Principles, an educational and interactive talk show that brings together best school leader of the country. Our guest today has 20 years of expertise as a HR consultant, group trainer, counselor in the areas of personal intelligence and competency development. She is also the founder trustee of Global Child HR. With a doctorate in philosophy in competency requirements of interviewers, she is a core consultant in the ambitious Social HR project of Intelligence School. In 2010, her paper on business education at Crossroads was published in 63rd All India Commerce Conference at Goa. Amongst a number of expertise, she is an approved trainer for corporate and nationalized banks. And her talents don't end here. She is also an author and is involved in research and development for major human creation technologies and has acted as a central research person for 4 major publications of personality schools. It's our honor to welcome to our show his scholar and principal of Hind English Medium School. Welcome to the show, ma'am. It's an honor to have you here.
Thank you very much. Thanks for a great introduction. Yeah.
Our pleasure, ma'am. So, ma'am, before we start, I would also like to tell you that if you are comfortable, we can have the conversation in Hindi and English both so that we can reach to maximum of our viewers.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, ma'am, on this note, I would like to know something about you. And also, I would like to give us a sneak peek on the upcoming book of yours, Know Yourself in the Mirror of Your Mind. The title is so interesting. A sneak peek would really be great.
All right. I would like to tell you something about myself. I mean, I'll start from my childhood. I'm coming from a family, where self-belief is nurtured and cultured. Like from our childhood, I mean, the parents told us, like, what do you feel right? Okay, assess that and implement on that. So in a sense, inside out living, we call it. Okay, don't get influenced by surrounding. You develop your machinery of thinking. You develop your machinery for decision making. So this is a kind of environment I brought up in. And like physically, I was very weak in my childhood, but mentally I was very strong. And whatever was simple, straightforward, never fascinated me. And I was looking forward for higher and higher challenges. So I always thought of painting a picture which is never completed in my living hood. I would like to have a canvas larger than my life. This is how I mean. My philosophy of living is. So this is about my childhood, and there are so many incidences. We try something and we fail and we leave it over there. Okay. So personally, I feel we should give ourselves second chance, third chance. Like for example, I started COBOL programming in my 8th standard, and ultimately I had to leave that thinking. I mean, the professors told me it is too early for you to get into programming. And that thing I carried in my mind. And when I, after my graduation, again, I picked up a COBOL programming. And after that, I was expert in that. So the moment I thought, yeah, now I know COBOL programming very well. After that, I did not pursue that. I mean, I never wanted to make my career in IT. But I think through this, I'm trying to tell you that we should give ourselves 2 to 3 chances. Okay, once you fail, don't feel sad or don't leave that particular thing. Okay. Now, see, actually, when I was in research with Mr. Prashant Brahmane, he has come up with 4 titles like Making Best of Childhood, Rule with Intelligence, Know Your Personality, and Mind No Matter. What I have understood that, see, we take long time to understand ourselves. Ideally, actually, we live our life through 4 generations, that what we were, what we are, what we want to be. This much I think we can know, but what we could be. So that is much more important. And why I have taken this book for writing, it is almost 2/3 is done. And by the end of this year, this book would be in market. In this book, primarily I'm trying to tell audience or readers that you have to discover yourself. You have to find out your self-image in your mind. Don't go by what others think of you. Okay, you are a creator. But now we mostly go by Father is saying something, so I think I'm like this. Mother is saying something, or friend is saying something, so I'm like this. So we are judged by in others' mind. What they feel about ourselves, we carry that image. Okay.
Yeah.
And we never think what image I have got in my own mind. Okay.
Yeah.
To give a courage, like now I have logged in actually from my tab, so I don't have the pictures. But there is a picture in which there is a fawn kept in front of mirror, and fawn is looking into mirror, and he is having a self image of a king. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Now there is a cat who is looking in mirror, and mirror is a representation of your brain, and she feels that she is a lion. Okay, she is the king of that particular forest. Okay, so I mean, what image we have got? There could be a situation where you're a king, but you have an image of a pawn. Okay, like कहते थे वो शहजादे कहते थे वो I'm missing my lines. I'll get back to you on this. वास्तव में जो प्यादे थे, कहते थे वो शहजादे थे, वास्तव में जो प्यादे थे. Okay, so people think we talk about ourselves, but maybe in reality we are nowhere. We are nowhere. Okay, so this is and you know, learning from others' experience is very costly experience. Time taking, and I mean it's you waste so much time in doing that. So I am proposing a theory of learning by intelligence. So you watch others, you watch their experiences, and you learn intelligently. Like they say, दूसरा खड्डे में गिरता है तो हमने संभलना चाहिए. Okay, like, so we should be very watchful. Okay, and it is also trying to achieve one thing, that we have to align all our five senses along with our sixth sense to brain programming. If that is done, then you don't have to look here and there. You can look within yourself, and you can decide a next move, right? So that is all about, I feel, about my book. And obviously few things are secret, so once it is there in market, we'll definitely, one copy would be posted to you.
A very powerful and a beautiful message from the book, that self-exploration is very much needed today, you know. So to all my viewers, go ahead, grab this book. It's releasing, publishing soon, and unveil your true self. Going ahead, ma'am, which kind of intellectual skills do you consider to be most important for your success? Consequently, how would you define intelligence? We were just talking about it, right?
Right. Before I take up this question, I missed on one point, and I feel that is very important. That's the essence. I mean, why I got into this, that I feel that there are three terminologies: bhavana, vichar, and kruti. Now, bhavana is something about emotion, okay, then intelligence, and then the implementation. So what I feel, that one should have courage to dream. We should have courage to dream something bigger and larger, okay, and then once we conceive the dream, once we have the courage and confidence to dream, we can develop our machinery to implement that. Okay, and if you go through this entire process of bhavana, vichar, and kruti, nothing can stop you from success. Today or tomorrow, you're going to meet your destination. Okay, now from here I will pick up what is intelligence. Actually, technically, intelligence, there is a great large number of psychomolecule aligned. I mean, that's a technical definition. We will not get into that. I would like to give a very simple, which could be understood by all the parents and teachers. See, ability to process knowledge is intelligence. Now, what is knowledge? Ability to process information is knowledge. Okay. So we start from data. You process the data, you get information, you process information, you get knowledge, you process the knowledge, you get intelligence, and you process intelligence, you get wisdom. Okay. Right. So it is a synthesis of a certain activity. Okay. So that is intelligence. Now, what is helping us to be successful in our life? That is personal intelligence. Howard Gardner talked about 7 intelligences. That is multiple intelligence theory. That was in 1983, I think. And now we are in today's era, we are talking about 12 multiple intelligences. And the most important is personal intelligence. Now, here I would like to quote few examples. Like in case if you talk about Dhirubhai Ambani, he was extremely good in personal intelligence, and he was also good in verbal intelligence and people intelligence. By virtue of his people intelligence, he could achieve what he has achieved. And I'm sorry to say, but not based on academics. I mean, today we are talking. I am a school principal, but still, I sometimes feel that the schooling always come in between learning. Okay.
Exactly, ma'am. Right.
So, in case if you talk about Newton, okay, or Einstein, they were personally intelligent. At the same time, they knew that their logical and technical intelligence is good. So they never tried cricket match or football match. Okay, so they got into their research, hardcore research, and there lies the success. So to talk about Kapil Dev, Sachin Tendulkar, Viru, okay, all these people, they are personally intelligent as well as mind and body intelligent. Okay,
Right.
success will not come from one intelligence. Success will come from multiple intelligences. Now, obviously, God will not give you all the range of 12 intelligence. God will give you couple of. So these couple of you can discover only if you have personal intelligence. Now, again, I will define like personal intelligence is something that knowledge about self and making the best use of your own knowledge. That is personal intelligence. Okay. So if you allow me, I'll take one or two more examples.
Yeah, no worries, ma'am. Yeah.
We talk about Lata Mangeshkar. See, she's not at all on mind and body intelligence. If you ask her to dance on her own tune, she won't be able to do it. She can't even move her twist her leg or hand here and there. But her musical intelligence is extremely good, and she's aware about this. So personal intelligence is giving her insight that musically she is extremely good. Okay,
Right.
and that is giving her a great success. So if we study all the great people, successful people, so-called, I mean, success is again a very undefined terminology. I mean, millionaire may also be dissatisfied and he may feel that he's not successful because success is something which gives you satisfaction, inner satisfaction. So these people, I mean, they have identified themselves and that's the reason they could be successful, right? So that's it. Over to you.
So I think, ma'am, out of whatever you said, what are the examples you gave, मुझे बहुत strongly ये लगता है कि what is wrong, where we are going wrong today is we are just giving information to our students, to our children. We are not giving them inspiration. Today's students need inspiration to be more, curious, to be more, once you inspire them, they feel the need to learn. So that is where we are going wrong. As you said, these children were not academically good, but they did attain success. So I'm sure this NEP is taking care of this too, and soon we will see this change even in school.
Definitely, ma'am. Actually, what we're doing, there was one story which was floated on WhatsApp. I don't know whether you have come across that story or no. There was a school for birds, I mean, for animal school. And like RTE, they have decided all the animals should come in a flow of education. Okay. And first, the duck, he came for admission. And the school said, look, you have three subjects, running, swimming, and flying. And all the three subjects are important. So he said, running I won't be able to do. I can run only here and there. Okay. Swimming also I can't do. Okay. Flying also I can do little bit. Okay. So that was one. Okay. And then the squirrel comes. He said, oh my God, I can run very fast, but how do I fly? Okay. So this is, I mean, we are taking people from diversified competencies and ठोक ठोक के उनको हम क्या करें, आपको जो नहीं आता है ना उसके ऊपर फोकस करिए, जो आता है उसको छोड़ दीजिए. So at the end of 1 year, okay, the squirrel, she has totally forgotten how to run, and she was finally in exam. Probably she said, "Sir, मुझे अभी तक I'm not so confident in flying. So can I climb on a tree and jump from there? And would you give me passing mark for that flying?" He said, "नहीं, flying is from ground to sky, not from sky to ground." Okay, so we in school, we are so specific about syllabus, curriculum, what we say that should be followed by students. Okay, they should not come up with any original ideas. They should not learn what they want, and that is how we are somehow spoiling the education system. I sincerely I feel.
Yeah, there's a serious need to introspect on individualized learning, ma'am. It's required very much. So on this note, ma'am, we will move to the next question. So what is the philosophy of your school and what makes it unique?
Uh, See, I'll tell you again something about me. I have put in 20 years in soft skill training program in corporates, and there I have discovered, like when we were having a program called Achieving Breakthroughs in Communication, and the audience, average age of audience in front of me was 45. You can imagine. So at the age of 45, in 2 days training program, how they are going to learn communication, or
Right.
for that matter, maybe decision making or leadership skills. Like at the age of 50, you can't learn leadership skills. Okay, it has to be nurtured and cultured from your childhood. So
Right.
there came to my mind that like enough of this corporate training, enough of the soft skill training. I should be on a platform wherein the kids are with me for the long duration. So that is how I could think of preschool in 2008. And 2012, we started CBSE school in the English medium school, Gurukul. And here, the philosophy is to make every child a leader. Now, first standard child, you can't teach him leadership. I mean, you can't make him sit in the chair and teach leadership. Okay, so we have to design a program in such a way that child. Now that there are two elements, in case if you want to be a leader, A, you should be problem solver. B, you should be decision maker. Now, how child will become problem solver? We have to create avenues. We have to give him mental freedom, what he would like to say. Okay, what decision? I mean, I'll give you a simple example. If child will come to me in school, miss, there is no teacher in our class. It's a very simple situation. So as a principal, I can quickly press a bell and call someone and say the substitution. Okay,
Right.
typically what we do. But what I do generally, I'll say, okay, better you don't have teacher in your class. So what would you like to do? Now, being a first standard child, nothing will come to his mind. So I have to create options for it. I will give option library. Would you like to be in library? Or would you like to be on sports ground? Would you like to go to AV room? Or would you like to have an art and craft class? Or would you like to have a music class? Okay. So now the moment he has got options, okay, he is a little confused. Oh my God, so many choices are there. He'll say, ma'am, just 1 minute. I'll check with my friends and come back to you. Okay.
Yeah.
Again, he'll go to class, check with his friend. He will come back, say, Miss, we all would like to go on a sports ground. Let them go on a sports ground. Anyway, teacher is not there. It's a free period for them. Probably the teacher is not keeping well. So they are getting the freedom of learning decision making. Okay. So this is how from small activities, we try to make them independent decision maker. Another example I would like to give, in case if child is not paying attention, maybe his eighth standard math class is going on, and child has got something cooking in his mind. जोर जबरदस्ती हम बोलते हैं, pay attention to me, otherwise I'll punish you. Okay. Otherwise, intentionally teachers will ask question to that child who is not paying attention, just to prove that you were not paying attention. Okay. And humiliate that child in front of class. Okay. But I tell teachers, okay, you can simply check if you want to study, it's okay, you can sit in this class. If you don't want to study, you can just take a stool up ground pe ja sakte ho. If I give once this freedom, okay, he'll be very happy to go on ground. He will enjoy ground only for 2 minutes because his friends are learning. Okay, human being is a gregarious animal and we would always like to be in a company of other human beings.
Right.
So he will not enjoy that ground. He will come back saying, ma'am, can I come in? Teacher will ask, yeah, you can come in, provided you would like to study. Yes, ma'am, now I would like to study. Okay, so these kind of freedom, in case if we give the students, and it is possible. Okay, you can't all the time say that open this book page number and listen to me, look at them. Okay, it is by saying this, making perfect follower. Today he is following you, tomorrow he will follow his friends, little later he will follow probably his boss, then he will follow his wife or husband, and then his kids, because he would be at the age of 60. So we have made perfect follower out of him. So here at Gurukul is a system not to create followers, but to create leaders. Now, in teaching leadership, what we do, we talk about 4 different leadership qualities, 4 types. One is thought leadership, which talks about all policies and all the great decision makers. They are thought leaders. But we don't know whether child is a thought leader or what action leader. Second is action leader. Third is moral leader. Fourth is human leader. Now, child may show thought leadership more over action leadership, or child may show action leadership more over moral leadership and thought leadership. So it is his personality, constitution, what leadership he is developing more. That again, freedom is to child. So when we are trying to nurture or culture these 4 types of leadership at the end of academic program, that is, I call it as a 12 years, standard 1 to standard 12, at least he will become self-leader.
Yeah.
I will minimum, I am trying to create him in a great way, but he may not have that aptitude. Okay, he may not have that basic thing in him. But at least I'm very sure that when he will go outside Gurukul program, if he has got a problem, he will not look for a person who can solve his problem, but he will look for those many people who are also having the same problem, and probably he can help others. Okay, that is how the vision and the mission is. Yeah.
So,
I hope I'm tangible.
yeah. So, ma'am, wonderful school with a beautiful philosophy of making every child leader. We by small activities, you are making them independent thinkers. Force versus freedom, another absolutely amazing thought. And then decision making, self learning. Given a choice, independent choice makers. So a beautiful philosophy and a very unique thing to practice in the school, wherein I can truly relate to this. When I never paid attention in my class, teacher would either throw a chalk on me or she'd like stand up which line I was reading. So I can totally relate to that. And I wish I had the similar opportunities. So beautiful philosophy, ma'am. And now going ahead to the next question. You have been working as an in HR for long years. So why is the HR department development, HR resource development vital in schools, which is generally nowhere?
See, why HR? HR is a human resource. And unless until we identify a resource, we can't make the best use of it. Okay. And this school industry has got a very flat structure, wherein there is a principal and others are teachers. No matter how many years of experience they have got, but they are designated as teachers only. So, somewhere they feel very frustrated with this. Like juniors are coming and still they are called as teachers only. But it is unlike corporate that we don't have hierarchy, we don't have the career growth plan, and even increments. Like every year, trust will give 10% increment or 5% increment, which is generally given in a not based on their merits. It is given as a policy. Okay, and which creates, sometimes it creates demotivation for those teachers who are actually performers. And why I feel that HR is very essential, because see, in school, principal is, I'm talking about a general structure. I'm not blaming anyone over here. See, principals are controlled by trustees, and principal in turn control teachers. Now, what is happening that principal is expecting something to be implemented, and that has to be done in a same way, how it is planned in an annual program. Okay, there is no scope for modification, there is no scope for enlargement, anything. Why? Because principals are very scared, because they are handling a very sensitive class, that is kids. Okay, and आजकल सारे पेरेंट्स को एक या दो ही बच्चे होते हैं, and दोनों बच्चे बहुत लाडले होते हैं, and उनको कुछ भी नहीं होना चाहिए. Even on sports day, child should not be hurt. Okay, physically. So which is impossible. Okay, if either he has to, get hurt, he should be courageous, confident. Okay, then only he'll grow. Otherwise, and he should not be under pressure. He should not be under stress. So what is happening? Parents are controlling teachers and principal. Trustees are also controlling teachers and principal. And in these who are not sufficient, parents भी रहते हैं, and they are also controlling. Ma'am, आपने बहुत ज़्यादा homework दिया. Okay. Now, I think the freedom should be given to teachers. Okay. So over last 10 years, I have built a system in such a way that I call it as a family. Like whatever any problem parents has got has to be solved amicably. They cannot blame any teacher. At the same time, teachers are called facilitators. They are teaching catalysts. They are not at all teachers. They don't have to go inside the class and start teaching. Okay. They would only facilitate self-learning, and they will act as a mentor. Okay. So a sort of a mother teacher.
Right.
So what happens, in HR, see, school should be seen as a very big platform for diversified activities, wherein art is there, sports is there, discovery and research is there, learning is there, individual performances are there, group performances are there, competitions are there, collaborations are there. Now, to conduct all this, a gamut of activity, you have to have a competent person. Now, how would principal know who is competent and who is not unless and until you have a HR in place? Okay, HR will give you exactly an idea that this teacher is extremely confident in handling competition, but this teacher is expert in handling literature. Okay, this teacher is good in music. She should be given that project. So we can create. I'm very proud to say a teacher who joined our school at the time of inception, that is 2012, is still working with us. And GR number 1 will be passing this year 10th standard. Okay, so the first child who took admission and the first teacher who joined, they're still there. Why? Because their personal satisfaction is assured over here. I would give only that task to that teacher who will happily do it and who is competent to do it. So I feel generally we should not distribute as a responsibility. We should distribute as leaders, and plus no close monitoring. Once you said this debate competition would be handled by science teacher or English teacher, full freedom should be given to her. You do as per your way. Okay. So that is how I feel that unless and until HR is there, school institution will not grow. There won't be any satisfaction. Only teachers will not come to school industry as a last option. They would come as a first option. Right?
Absolutely, ma'am. So rather than giving orders, just make everyone part of responsibility and decision making and see the difference.
Absolutely.
Going ahead, ma'am, you have also done brain mapping, and also this question is for you. What is a psychometric test for student, and how does it help the student to make better subject choices and career choices?
Right. A tell piece from last discussion. Like only happy teacher, whatever you have, you will pass it on the same thing to others. Okay. So if principals are giving stress to teachers and control and restriction, they will pass on the same thing to students. But if teacher is happy, the teacher will pass on that happiness. If teacher has got a freedom, she will pass on that freedom to the student. So this is how, we are cleaning the environment, entire environment. And we are trying to create a place, like a garden-like place where everyone is inspiring each other. Okay. Now here comes the psychograph. Okay. Since I'll like to mention it again. In my career, I have done a lot of psychograph for people. Now it was basically used for decision making. I mean, if a company has to select 2 CEOs and both CEOs good, okay, and the company is a little confused that whom we should finalize. So that time they will refer to the personality clinic and they will ask us to make the psychograph and give us the human potential index, like whose potential index is higher. So probably they will select that. Okay. So I thought even the psychograph, why can't it be done for kids? Now psychograph is nothing but insight to an individual. Okay, based on 100 different personality behavioral traits. Okay, I mean if I talk about सीमा जी, तो सीमा जी को मुझे explain करने के लिए I would require 100 different personality behavioral traits. Okay, those could be courage, confidence. Academic is one of those 100 traits. Okay, so schooling, we focus so much on schooling, so that is one of the 100 traits. Okay, So now, in case if I give you your child's psychograph, like your child's picture based on 100 different behavioral traits, so obviously you can see, oh, my child is calculative. Calculativeness is maybe 3 out of 10, but his risk taking is 8 out of 10. So this child is likely to be a risk taker without calculating the risk. You're getting my point? If
Yeah.
child is communicative, but he is not knowledgeable, what will happen? He will get into gossips or he will get into bluffing. I mean, बहुत सारे उसको बोलने को तो बहुत है. Desire to speak is much more having any content to speak.
Right.
So psychograph will give details to parents how to upbring child in a more organized way. Because there are few traits like self-esteem, confidence, courage, assertiveness, which you cannot develop or you can't even, I mean, parents will not even know that whether my child is assertive or no, or whether he is confident or no. Okay, they might feel, no, my child is very confident because in front of parents, he is confident. Probably he got few medals. So they feel that even in social sphere, he is confident. But we don't know. Confidence is such a trait that it will iterate with the situation. Okay. So parents will get insight to all the personality behavioral traits. Okay. And not only data, but dynamics and interdynamics of these traits. Okay. If I am angry, my listening will go down. Okay. If I have to be a learner, then my listening has to be very high. Okay. So in debate, we train students that beta aapko sunna bhi hai aur bolna bhi hai. Okay. So you have to balance your traits. So can I go little more in details with your permission?
Yeah, but ma'am, we are actually have time strains.
Yeah. Good. So I'll just sum up in saying that we observe kids through various competitions and how child is behaving when teacher is there, how child is behaving when teacher is not there, then how child is behaving on a sports ground, how child is behaving in group activity or individual activity, and we make the assessment and we share the information with parents. Yeah.
So one thing I would like to tell my viewers here that at MAM school, every child psychometric test is done. And it is not a cost at free of cost, I mean to say this. So parents and teachers very well know the traits of the child and then they work on making it better and giving him better choices. So going ahead to the next question, ma'am. We were just talking about the competency and talents and the traits. So competency-based education, what is it? And how can schools benefit from it?
Competency-based education, for that we have to understand skill versus competency. Skill is something like Varli art or we can say sculpture or carpentry. So that is called skill. And competency is a comprehensive understanding about a certain activity wherein you are independent decision maker also. Okay, so competency is little higher. I'll take an example like I'm talking to you and you're talking to me. So this is the communication. But those who can communicate may not become interviewers. Okay, to be an interviewer, you require a communicational competency. Now, communicational competency will require so many of traits coming together. Okay, and that will form the competence. So, per se, school may not benefit from competency-based education, but students will definitely gain much more from this competency-based education. Okay, however, school will benefit that they will come out of the rote teaching and teachers will also feel satisfied that yes, they are getting freedom to do something. Because rather than teaching and telling, if you're doing something, it creates more happiness. Okay, so competency-based education will definitely offer a larger success to students, larger confidence to students, and they are ready for, I mean, campus, corporate to campus, campus to corporate. What we say that in competency-based education, directly from campus, student can walk to corporate. They don't have to go through any training program of induction or something.
Yeah, so and even the child's success is ultimately attributed to his schooling too. So going ahead, ma'am, like you have multiple talents and so many skill sets of yours. Which is the accomplishment you're most proud of?
At the age of 32, I got a chance to interview, to make a psychograph of a uh, 300 crore managing director, a company he was handling. And he was, I think, 55, and that time I was 32. I was a little scared. I mean, sir, your experience is so much. He said, no, but I would like to get my psychograph done from you only. And that was really, I mean, it took 5 hours to make his psychograph. And I'm very happy, I mean, for this. And like this, I have done psychograph for 5 managing directors. Then I have done OD project for a few companies. And that has really given me a lot of satisfaction that yes, we can really help people understand themselves and take better decisions in their life.
Yeah, what could be more satisfying than this when you have guided the person that what you can be and what you are doing actually.
Exactly.
Going ahead to ma'am, we have reached to the very interesting segment of the show, which is called rapid fire round. You have to answer in one word only.
Oh my God. It is going to be tough for me.
So my first question to you is brain mapping real?
Yes.
Name a school principal you admire the most.
PK Birla, Mr. Sinha.
Is intelligence defined by academic success?
I don't think so. No.
What is the ideal parent-teacher relationship?
I feel parents are biological parents and teachers are spiritual parents. So a creator and a mentor and a mentee relation. Yeah.
Wonderful. Last question of this segment. Formal education in India has to undergo a quantum shift. Do you agree?
Yes, definitely.
So ma'am, we got to know enough of your professional part. Now we would like to know about your hobbies, your areas of interest, what you would like to do when you're not at work and why it gives you interest.
Yeah, when I'm not working at domestic front or at professional front or at social front, I would like to spend time with myself. From childhood, I have nurtured one hobby, that is the chess playing, and it gives me immense pleasure. I have account on early chess, and I keep solving puzzles. Okay, so chess is one thing. Another is colors fascinate me. I mean, drawing, painting. So mandal art I like. I mean, on my status, I generally keep that as a status, mandal art.
Okay.
And then even still, if I get time, then I watch documentaries of a great successful people. That gives me inspiration, and I feel that I have achieved nothing. I have long way to go because these people have really achieved great, great things in their life. And that's it. And in case if I still get time, then reading spiritual books and philosophical books.
Going ahead, ma'am, to the last question of the show, which is called viewer's choice question. Due to COVID, many things seem uncertain and in some cases out of control also. What would be your guidance to parents and students to cope up with stress, anxiety, and distress?
Very interesting. I mean, very relevant question. I must say this. See, actually, there is one saying which is not mine, but still I'll quote this. Problems come with prospects. Okay, how we look at it, if we change the perspective, the problems will be seen as prospect. Okay, in my schooling, I mean, whenever I used to have parents meeting and counseling, they used to complain that we don't get time with kids. Okay, we have professional responsibilities, other responsibilities, traveling time is very hard. So I think this is the best time you're getting free time available with kids. Okay, so I think they should make the best use of this. Anxiety, yeah, definitely. I think they'll have a lot of anxiety with respect to infections, with respect to their academics, with respect to, I mean, what happened with 12th exam is cancelled. So parents are really anxious about that also. So I think there are few problems which could not be, they are not individualized problems. Okay, this everyone is selling in the same boat, so we don't have to worry much about this. And चिंता करने से चिता होती है जैसे चिंतन करने से okay मोक्ष या मुक्ति मिलती है. So I think they should engage themselves in positive things. They should nurture culture hobbies. They should have positive relationship and involvement with kids. This is what I feel. And in fact, they are not coming to school, so parents can play a role of a teacher, because in school many times we play a role of a parent. So it's time for the parents to play a role of a teacher now.
A very insightful answer by ma'am, because whenever there is a problem, there is a huge opportunity behind it, which we often foresee. So for to all my viewers, this COVID did have bring anxiety for all of us and stress, but we are getting more time with our kids. Our technological advancement, we are more techy today. All of us have learned so many technological advancement, and we have seen how wonderful technology is used in education. So this is the opportunity which COVID has brought in. It has opened the doors for learning from anywhere. So this was an absolutely delightful conversation with ma'am. A lot of insights we got on psychometrics checks, on HR development in schools, on making your teachers more motivated, independent leaders, creating independent leaders, and how you can do the brain mapping done and know what is a best choice for you. So thank you so much, ma'am. It was really wonderful to have you here. Thank you so much.
And Seema ma'am, you are also a great interviewer, I must say.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thanks a lot for calling me on this platform. Have a great day.
Thank you so much, ma'am.